In 1671, a man walked into the Tower of London, befriended the keeper of the crown jewels, and nearly walked out with them, and nobody stopped him. The Tower of London wasn't just a fortress. It was the vault of the English monarchy, the place where crowns, scepters, and orbs worth fortunes lay behind iron and stone. By the late 1600, the crown jewels had survived civil wars, regicides, and centuries of intrigue, but they'd never faced anyone quite like Thomas Blood. Blood wasn't born a criminal. He was an Irish Protestant, a soldier, a man who'd fought in Cromwell's wars and lost everything when the monarchy returned to power. By the 1660s, he was middle-aged, embittered, and hunting for one last score that would change his life. In 1671, Blood began his reconnaissance. He didn't hire a gang. He didn't study blueprints in shadow. Instead, he did something far more audacious. He became a regular visitor to the tower. He dressed as a clergyman, cultivated friendships, and slowly earned the trust of Talbot Edwards, the aging yeoman warder who guarded the jewels. Edwards had a daughter. Blood saw opportunity. He arranged for one of his associates to court her, a calculated move to deepen his connection to the family. Within weeks, Blood was dining with the yeoman warder, visiting his quarters, becoming almost a son. Trust, once given, is the hardest lock to pick. By May 1671, Blood felt ready. He invited Edwards and his wife for a private viewing of the jewels after hours when the tower was quieter. Edwards, flattered by the attention and confident in his guest, agreed. That decision would haunt him for the rest of his life. On the night of May 9th, Blood arrived with 3 accomplices. One was disguised as a woman. Another carried tools hidden beneath ordinary clothes. Edwards unlocked the door to the jewel house, unaware that he was ushering in the most brazen theft the tower would ever witness. Once inside, the operation unfolded with precision. Blood and his men produced weapons, a mallet, a dagger, a sword. Edwards was forced to the ground. His wife was restrained. In minutes, the crown itself was in Blood's hands. He began flattening it with the mallet to fit inside his coat. The audacity was almost serene. But something went wrong. Edward's son, Wythe, arrived unexpectedly. He'd been away and had just returned to the tower. When he saw his parents bound and heard the commotion, he raised an alarm. Seconds mattered now. Blood and his men grabbed what they could and ran. They burst through the gates on horseback, racing toward the Thames with guards in pursuit. The crown, the scepter with the cross, and the orb were in their possession. To any observer, they'd pulled off the impossible. But Blood had made one fatal miscalculation. He hadn't planned far enough ahead. Guards caught up with them near the river. Blood was captured, along with one of his men. The others escaped, but without the jewels, most had been recovered at the scene. Blood was arrested, shackled, and thrown into the tower itself. Execution seemed certain. He'd stolen from the crown, and the crown always punished treason. What happened next remains one of history's strangest turns. King Charles Roman II summoned Blood to his presence. Instead of ordering his death, the king questioned him. And Blood, faced with the monarch himself, made a final gamble. He charmed him. Blood told the king that he'd planned the heist not for personal gain, but as a political statement against a monarchy he despised. He was honest, almost brazen. Charles, perhaps amused, perhaps respecting the sheer audacity, did something extraordinary. He pardoned him. Not only that, the king granted Blood an estate in Ireland worth £500 a year. Blood, the man who tried to steal the crown jewels, was rewarded. He lived another decade in relative comfort, a free man, his audacious crime transformed into a bizarre footnote in royal history. The jewel house was reinforced after the heist. New locks, new guards, new protocols, but the real lesson wasn't about security, it was about trust. Blood had exploited the one vulnerability that no lock could guard against, the human need to believe in people. Talbot Edwards never fully recovered from the shame. He'd been duped by a man he'd invited into his home, his family's home. The psychological weight of that betrayal followed him. In a way, Blood had stolen something more valuable than jewels. He'd stolen Edward's sense of security. What makes the crown jewels heist truly remarkable isn't just that it nearly succeeded. It's that it succeeded in being remembered as something almost noble. Blood became a folk legend, the man clever enough to outwit the tower, charming enough to persuade a king, and audacious enough to survive the consequences. In the annals of heists, most end in prison or death. Blood's ended in property and legend. He proved that sometimes the greatest theft isn't of objects, it's of narrative itself. He stole the story of his own crime and rewrote it into something that made a king laugh. The crown jewels remain in the tower to this day, protected by systems far more sophisticated than anything Blood faced. But every security upgrade, every camera, every protocol is an echo of a single May night in 1671, when a man in a clergyman's collar proved that access is the